If you are new to canning, you may wonder why there are so many rules to follow and do you really have to follow them? Today we'll be answering the question, do I really need to leave a certain amount of headspace in the jar? Welcome to the old Mayfield place. I'm Snow the farmer's wife and I teach you to be more self-sufficient in so many ways, such as growing your own food, using herbal medicine, preserving food for long-term storage, and more. So why is headspace such an important part of the canning process? Headspace refers to the space between the top of the food or liquid and the lid of the jar. This space plays an important role when it comes to preserving food safely and maintaining the quality of the canned product. During the canning process, the filled jars are heated to a specific temperature to destroy harmful microorganisms and enzymes that can cause spoilage or foodborne illnesses. The heat needs to penetrate throughout the entire contents of the jar, including the center, to ensure effective sterilization. If there isn't enough headspace, it becomes difficult for the heat to evenly distribute throughout the food. This could potentially lead to underprocessed areas that might harbor harmful organisms. As the contents of the jar heat up during the processing, they expand. This expansion leads to increased pressure within the jar. If there isn't enough headspace to accommodate this expansion, too much pressure can build up, leading to problems such as leaking, buckling of lids, or even broken jars. Proper headspace provides room for this expansion without causing damage to the jar or its seal. Siphoning happens when food or liquid is drawn out of the jar during the canning process. This can happen if there isn't sufficient headspace to allow for the natural release of gases during cooling. When the jars cool down after processing, the contents contract, creating a lower pressure inside the jar. If there's inadequate headspace, the pressure difference between the inside and outside of the jar can cause liquid to be pulled out. This can result in a loss of product and potentially compromise the seal if food gets between the lid and the jar rim. I've created a checklist to make sure that you don't miss any steps when pressure canning so that you can create safe, delicious, and nutritious food that is ready for long-term storage for your family. If you would like a copy, I will leave a link in the description. Achieving a proper seal is vital to canning to prevent spoilage and contamination. Inadequate headspace can interfere with the formation of a reliable seal. If the contents are pressed against the lid, food particles might prevent the lid from sealing correctly, allowing air and microorganisms to enter the jar. Headspace also plays a role in controlling the pressure inside the jar after processing. A consistent headspace allows for uniform pressure to develop, preventing variations that could lead to jar breakage or compromised seals. Having the right amount of headspace helps maintain the quality and appearance of the canned product. If there's too much headspace, the excess air can lead to oxidation of the food, causing flavor and color changes. On the other hand, too little headspace can cause the contents to be forced against the lid during processing. This can lead to a messy appearance and potential contamination of the sealing area. The amount of headspace required is different for different types of foods. You can usually find the recommended headspace in the recipe or from the USDA canning guidelines. For high-acid foods such as fruits, jams, and pickles, it is generally recommended to leave a 1/4 inch of headspace. This is because high-acid foods are less susceptible to spoilage and contamination. For low-acid foods such as vegetables, meats, and stews, it is recommended to leave 1 inch of headspace. This is because low-acid foods are more susceptible to spoilage and contamination. Recently, the USDA changed the guidelines for chicken to 1 1/4 inch of headspace. However, it is important to note that these are general guidelines and the appropriate amount of headspace can vary depending on the specific recipe you are using. Some recipes may call for more or less headspace, so it's essential to read the recipe carefully and to follow the instructions provided. To ensure that you have the correct amount of headspace, you can use a ruler or an inexpensive headspace measuring tool. Always follow the recommended headspace and canning methods to ensure the safety, quality, and longevity of your canned products. Thank you for stopping by the old Mayfield place today. Stay healthy, measure that headspace, and have a blessed week.